Professor Manoel Galvao, the Professor of Endoscopic Surgery and the teacher in the ABC College of Medicine, Santo André, Brazil, and the Scientific Director of Endovita Institute, Sao Paulo, Brazil. The revolution of the robotic surgery and the robots in medical practice is evolved. So today our lecture is about robotic endoscopy. Next slide, please. Yes, the advantages of robotic surgery and robotic endoscopy, and we have disadvantages. Yes, it is one, less trauma on the body. Number two, minimal scarring, the reduced risk of infection, improved dexterity and range of motions, minimize the chance of complication with smaller incision, and enhanced precision and safety with higher resolution of a 3D imaging system. This is very important in the accuracy and success rate of surgeries, the smoother performance by the surgeon, and the unwanted tremor by the physician, the minimum blood loss, reduced pain, the creative visualization for the 3D vision, the accuracy, which is very important, of the success rate of the surgeries, the integration with modern imaging technology, and the chance of telesurgery. And here is the other revolution that we are working on, which include the telesurgery in cities in the world, and also our new program that you also, the space telesurgery. Okay, what are the disadvantages? The disadvantages is the large initial capital investment, and now many companies are solving this problem, and you can see that everything started to be less. Number two, the cost of maintenance, and also the problem have been solved, the training, and the loss of touch, the tactile back, the lack of sensory feedback, and the size of the robot. Many companies have worked in order to decrease these disadvantages, and this is what we are seeing, and the needs for smaller systems. Next slide, please. So robotic endoscopy, endoscopy extend eyes of the physician into the patient's body. They are widely used in GI diagnostic and minimal invasive surgery. Endoscopy can be classified into 4 types. 1, rigid endoscopy, flexible endoscopy, 3, capsule endoscopy, and our lecture and our topic today, the robotic endoscopy. Please for all audience, I hope you mute your mic so that you can give the lecture. So I hope from all the audience you will mute, and please, if you have any question, we will receive your question in the end of the lecture, and Professor Manuel will be happy to answer you, and me also. Next slide, please. Yes, the robotic endoscopy, the similar to robotically assisted surgery, robotic endoscopy developed and overcome the limitation and the standards diagnostic and therapeutic procedures. The main goal of this innovation biotechnology is to improve the precision and effectiveness, safety, and reliability, to enhance the interventional capabilities and endoscopies, and augment the field of possible interventions, and specify calibration between engineers and medical doctors is the basis to improve this technology. The range of diagnostic and therapeutic possibilities that endoscopes robots can be involved is potentially unlimited. Endoscopy robots can calculate and reduce or increase the pressure on flexures, and would reduce the amount of force applied to the intestinal walls. And this is very important to decrease the risk of perforation and complication. It increased the accuracy and the blood falls and the visual fields of 180 degrees. The best types of lights exposure can be adopted. Next slide, please. Yes, these many companies are now working on many endoscopy. You will see 2 videos together, and of course, Professor Manuel will give us his experience. He is one of the pioneers of this technology. This is one of the Italian company, and it is taking the FDA approval. And next slide, please. The operative instrument are disconnection tools, and the grasper, it has a grasper and the clips, and the electrocautery devices and loops and needles. So we can perform a complete surgery not only in diagnostic robotic endoscopy, but we can do therapeutic robotic endoscopy, which can emerge from the tip of the endoscope into the operative field and operate in a healthy environment and safe. The robots available today are capable of doing polypectomy, mucosectomy, endoscopic submucosal dissection, and in particular, the submucosal dissection technique is the most suited to become the gold standard and indication of endoscopic robots because it gives you the flexibility, it gives you the magnification and the freedom in work. Next slide, please. In digestive endoscopy, the endoscopic is skill demanding, time and consuming, and bears high complication risk, but offers a higher en-bloc resection for early GI cancers compared to conventional endoscopic resection. So the esophageal and colonic and other fields can be reached even from the nose, which is the endoscopic robot innovation biotechnology from the natural orifices and decreasing the scar of the human body. So this is why we can perform a complete surgery, which is called therapeutic, in case of early cancers in stage 1 or stage 2, and our patient will be healthy and confirming the accuracy and precision of surgery. And this is one of the advantages of endoscopic robots. Next. Yes, please. So this is one of the technologies, and it is taking FDA approval from one USA companies. These robots have the ability of artificial intelligence, machine language, okay, and we'll see together, and also the precision of the robotic movement.
Has developed a magnetic endoscopy platform with diagnostic and therapeutic capabilities for colon exploration. The platform consists of a magnetic flexible endoscope and a robotic arm with an actuating magnet. The endoscope is composed of a 21 millimeter by 18 millimeter head, a highly compliant sleeve, and a 6.5 millimeter diameter flexible tether. The head contains a camera module, a therapeutic channel, a light source, capability for irrigation, lens cleaning and insufflation port, and a 1.4 Tesla embedded permanent magnet along with circuitry that includes magnetic field sensors and an inertial measurement unit. The tether serves as a mechanism for running electrical wiring and channels. The actuating magnet is manipulated in 6 degrees of freedom by a serial robotic arm. Knowledge of the residual flux density and geometry of the actuating permanent magnet, as well as proprioceptive sensing in the head, are utilized via a localization algorithm to obtain both the position and orientation or pose of the endoscope's tip. Knowledge of the pose of the external permanent magnet and actuating magnet allow for estimating the applied magnetic force and torque. Thus, we are able to compute the motions of the actuating magnet that are necessary to induce a desired force and torque upon the endoscope's tip to produce a desired endoscope motion. Using this information, we can implement autonomy into our system for ease of use and to overcome repetitive or technically challenging tasks. Here, we demonstrate autonomous retroflexion in an in vivo porcine colon in real time at the push of a button by the endoscopist. This is similar to the autopilot feature utilized in air and automobile travel. The maneuver was successful in all 30 trials, and there were no adverse events. Shown here are the paths followed by the endoscope's tip and the actuating magnet. The unique trajectories demonstrate that our system was operating under full autonomy and not following a predefined path. Here, we see the view from the onboard camera during autonomous retroflexion. Biopsy forceps can also be passed for use in the retroflex position. Other therapies can be performed with the magnetic flexible endoscope.
Yes. So after seeing this video, okay, you can see that it is a combination of artificial intelligence and robotic system and the autopilot of the surgery, which is the ideal revolution that we are doing. So these robots have the ability to read the wall where it goes right or left, or where there is invagination or bending, and what it does, it moves according to the movement. And after that, we can do a therapeutic or diagnostic laparoscopic endoscopic robotic surgery. And this I will return to Professor Manuel for his lecture, and I hope you enjoyed about some basic information. And we are attempting to implement the system to UAE and to other countries. Yes, Professor, we are with you now. Yes.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful presentation. Thank you for your kind words and the quality of your introduction. So I'll head from here and telling you that our journey on endoscopic robotics has begun, and I'm about to show to you a little bit back further. And it's amazing that now the like, how can I say that, the interest of the general population and the interest of even the investors had changed from the laparoscopic, because laparoscopic, you know more than me, laparoscopic world of laparoscopic robotics, they are kind of very heavier populated right now, with big guns getting into the field right now. And then it lets the attention driven attention to what we are doing, that the endoscopic world. So I'll try to show you what I have experienced, and I'm a proceduralist, so I'm not going to focus that much on diagnostic robots, but operative ones. So with no further delay, I will get on my presentation. That is here. I hope you can see the slides.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, and you can see here that we work in close collaboration all over the world. This specific one was designed, this presentation, by me and Professor Silvana Pereta from IRCAD Strasbourg, as well as my base team in São Paulo, Dr. Greco, Dr. Thiago, and myself, that we do a lot of first-in-human procedures and bariatric endoscopy. So this slide comes from Silvana from Strasbourg. So you can see here that all over the years, we have the invasiveness and how it not collide, but it fuses the laparoscopic world with endoscopic world. And we're seeing more and more and more the advances of flexible endoscopy in like diseases that were purely surgical, like the ones on the biliary tree, the hepatobiliopancreatic ones, the resection of early cancers in all digestive tube is amazing on that. So that's what we devise, and we share your vision, Professor Al-Hassani, that is the surgery of third millennium, that you have to be minimally invasive, you have to get the patient the best outcome survival with best quality of life, and trying as much as we can do our organ preserving, organ sparing function preserving surgery. And you quote some of us on your presentation that we were begin that with the notes, the natural orifice transluminal endoscopic surgery. At that time, you see 2007, so it was a long time ago. We could be able to even clinically do those procedures like transvaginal cholecystectomies, transgastric, transanal, sleeve gastrectomies. On that, we can see here the effort of IRCAD on doing those first. And we are not behind. We have done and published a very big series on clinical work. But at that time, we realized that getting off-the-shelf instruments and getting into those complex manipulations, we are not ready. We could do that. We proved that it was feasible, but we need the platforms. And that was the jump start to get those platforms that allowed us to access the body cavity in our intraluminal side, to dissect tissue, to destroy tissue with energy, and reconstruct tissue. We didn't really have specific ones for that. And it was interesting to see, was not part of this project, but I was closely follow their development, and the one that I admire a lot is the junction of ear cardioid stores with the Anubis scope, a 7.2 million project, even more. And they'll see that pass through all of design that I think, I know that you love, Mohanad, how they went through that. And they get to this beautiful, beautiful machine that was not a robot. It's electric, mechanical on that, but this was a functional, operational double channel scope. The shelf was to carry the needles and things inside, but look at the quality and the complexity of the instruments and the movement they were able to do in 2006 is really amazing and surprised all of us. And even they could get on and over our surgical paradigms that bring suture to the endoluminal or transluminal one. And you know now that we have endoscopic machines that do it all. And all these movements that we did in the notes time were driven out to the endoluminal space, as you stated very well. So here you can see the first Anubis scope transvaginal cholecystectomy, and it was done in a very order, in a very good way. And you can see here the whole imaging on that was a complex, but the movements were complex. The whole space were complex to address, and you needed two of the most skillful endoscopies to do that. At that time, Silvana and our friend Bernard Alemand, as you're seeing here on performance. Per protocol, they need an external camera to drive, but you can see here that's a very acceptable way to dissect the gallbladder. But then we got lessons through that. The first one is that, yes, we should think outside the box, but we should look inside the lumen, because it's what we could do at that time, so that all this movement changed to endoluminal and preserving. And we have to find, as you state also, that what's gonna be our key procedure or our killer procedure. And we thought that with the endoscopic submucosal dissection, that was a very complex procedure, very efficient procedure, but to just see by your own eyes and compare left to right. So on the left, you have a regular one, and on the right, you see a traction and contraction. And you can see by your own eyes how easier looks like the right side when compared to the left side in terms of complexity of the movement. So we got in the way to pursue that. And you can see here, even some studies done in animals could prove that with traction and contraction in a laparoscopic way, in a bird eye view, we could be more efficient than doing the flexible endoscopy way. At least on my field, why we need it, is that bariatric endoscopy is what we do in Brazil, is that we need a high level of skill set. We need better ways to deliver tools to the target zone. We need to work a lot in dexterity and automation and to get what we need, that is the scale of adoption worldwide. So when we get there, so this movement was begin, but it's spread all over the world. So we have to capture from what is being doing all over the world to get what we have done now in Brazil. So this was the very first attempt with a very specific robot that now is approved by FDA and is bringing a revolution, my friend, to the area that one of the most difficult flexible endoscopy to be done, that's the bronchial one. So it's a laser guide robot that can go up to the target. And you see here the evolution.
Yeah, in Mayo Clinic, it was. Yes.
So the evolution of this got to this one. It is called Monarch, recently acquired by Ethicon, Johnson & Johnson. And you know what they do? So imagine that your thorax is kind of stable. So you do a CT scan, you do an MRI. So you have like a more global position system of satellites. You have a satellite location like of a lesion that is outside of the bronchial tree. And this device, it can identify that. So it can navigate to the bronchial tree that's very hard to navigate very precisely and put the needle from inside to outside, getting Lung biopsies, that was very difficult to achieve. Sometimes I have to do thoracoscopy to do that. And then just begin, and it's an FDA approved, so you can use clinically, and it's gathering momentum. So thousands of those procedures have been done all over US, and I think they are ready to export and to have another countries on that. So this is a real revolution in front of our eyes. We have another FDA approved device that is the MedRobotics, that they have this robotic arm that can give us vision that's extremely flexible. You can use for NNT to tonsillectomies, and also now for colorectal lesions. It is not a robotic tool because the instruments are mechanical, but very complex and can do the job of triangulations. So they get the approval for ENT, like tonsillectomies, and for colorectal procedures, and can get out on the target zone with a means of a console. They can use 3D visualization, but you can see here, they can get in very small areas with the flexible ones, and they are indeed FDA approved. So what we have done is with the help of this company called Columbus, that is based in the US and have a lot of technology from Korea, from South Korea. And then we were invited to collaborate, and you can see here at the very beginning that we can sit on a console, and if you see on my picture on the left, you see on the back the robotic arm being that. So you see the movement is very precise. So the owner, the inventor is Professor Daniel King. He's a neurosurgeon that now fully dedicated to these companies, and you're gonna see by your own eyes what we could achieve in terms of progressing on that. So then after the bench, you see here, we went on Harvard specimens. So this one is mimic a polypectomy, and we are getting more precise movements. We are training ourselves, and it's how it's done. It's still in Houston on their lab. They have a fantastic lab there, and it's amazing how they are progressing on that direction. You see that the resection, and then we have the opportunity to bring this robot to Brazil. The robot is in Brazil right now, and we are with the intention to do the first in human on the colorectal lesions. And now we are seeing is a transferring of knowledge. So what we learned there, we transfer for the youngers on our teams. And I really believe that the youngers have to start with these because they have this video game capability. The generation was training on that, and we should be honor them and using our seniority to guide them. And you see here, this is Dr. Thiago Souza from Brazil, and this is a live specimen, so it's a live animal. And you can see here the dissections becoming good and good and good. For sure, at that time, we are not that fast, so the videos is speeded up, but you can see here, that is a very convincing one. So this is when a small study, feasibility and safety study in animals, but you can see here that we could achieve good specimen resections, and even we could do endoscopic suturing with barbed sutures. So the next step,
Professor, we want from you these robots to be in Dubai, UAE, and in Iraq. Okay, I hope you will support. Yes, and these have the ability to do surgery control later on. Yes.
Yeah, I will show you in a moment what we can do with this technology.
Yes.
So currently is an FDA study. So there is our center in Brazil and 5 centers in US. So they possibly gonna use the fast track of 510K to get it approved in US. So what we have now is a prototype that's being tested to see if they pass to the FDA. So far, we are doing great. I'm gonna show you right now what we can do in humans. So at that point, we were also in, this is in Houston, this is a cadaver. So you can see here that we could even go further, and you're gonna see here a full thickness resection with a little bit of mesorectal resection. And this was the previous job done by some Korean colleagues and surgeons, but this is what is amazing, is the ability to suture by that. And I know that this field is also populated with the robots, the rigid robots, but we have to understand that what we are putting inside is just a 20 millimeter instrument with 5 millimeter robotic arms. So after that, complete in US, then we went to Brazil, and let me show, this is the results I wanted to show you. This is an animal, but look at the right side from 12 o'clock that goes around to 6 o'clock. That is a very convincing type of suture. I don't know if you agree.
Yes, of course. Yes, even the healing, the alignment is very nice. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
And also the training curve, I'm sure, can be with an expert surgeon average and acceptable.
So let me show you now on the next one. You're gonna see a video of a case submitted to DDW to see if we're gonna present or not. Also is one of the cases that we are allowed to show to you. So this is a picture. So here you can see the console on the middle and the arm. So interesting, we can see on the console where the arms are. It's very interesting when we're doing endoluminal, because you can lose yourself. And then you can see also the when sitting in the console, the dissection. And this was the very first specimen that we extract. So if you compare with our colleagues are doing in traditional endoscopic submucosal dissection by endoscopy, is a pretty much interesting lesion. And this one, we got this special, and it was done by Zoom, so we could gather the 3 imaging. So you can see here the youngest are on the console, the seniors are on the robot. So we still have to work a little bit on the robot. I can see here that we are injecting and lifting the lesion. We have this very beautiful scissor that is monopolar. We still do not have bipolar, but you can see here there's a very precise dissection. We have the bird eye view. And as we started that, we completely dissect the first part. So as endoscopy, we lift and we cut, we lift and we cut. That's the way we should do that. And after that, we change to a more endoscopic-like instrument. And again, you're gonna see here that we lift. And our goal is to do a circumferential cutting to isolate the lesion and then work on the submucosal space. And you can see here that is a knife with a ball tip that we are able to create and dissect in a way that we can have a good margin because it's a cancer. So it's a T1N0MX lesion. And then you can see here that we are trying to get, and we are doing a circumferential lesion on that. One of the first things that we can do if you want it. And different from what you see by endoscopy, that you always see in front of you, due to you have to work very close. We can work a little bit at distance, working in traction and contratraction to expose the tissue. So now we are completing the circumference. We are injecting the last parts to get this circumferential out. And for sure, we are learning, we are getting momentum on the learning curve. We have much more to get with that. And you see here, but what I wanted to drive your attention that we can clearly see the blue part. So the blue part is submucosal space that we can clearly see the vessels and we can coagulate the vessels. So it's a very bloodless intervention. And now we can see here that's a little bit of fibrosis, and there are the muscular parts that we can avoid with that dissection. So we have a lot to progress. So we are using an endoscope inside the robot. So on the future, the company, I think someone is with the microphone
yes,
open.
I hope you can mute, please. For the audience, please. I hope you mute it. Yes, thank you. Yes. Yes, Professor.
So we are about to finish the dissection, and you can see here is a 25% of the circumference. So after that, even more interesting, we can check to revise and see is no further bleeding. We can apply coagulation. And interestingly, the robot have 3 ports of entrance. And by the port of endoscope, you're about to see we use a endoscopic instrument called RotNet, and we can withdraw the instruments through the robotic port without the need of removing the scope, because we need to further appreciate the tissue to see how it's done. So this is how it ends. You see, that's no blood inside. And now we are removing the robots and this is the specimen that we are able to. And then we went with the I can't talk about that.
Yes, please. I hope the audience will keep their mics muted, please. I hope.
So
I hope the audience again. A kindly request, please, from the audience. Thank you. Yes, please. Yes, Professor. Sorry for that. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So this one we did this Sunday. So with this, you can see the same screen that we are working. So you can see the arms, you can see the instruments that we are using, and how we are doing the same with the lesion. So we inject, we lift, and the vision is very clear.
Professor Manuel, you can mute the person. You can because you are the admin. You can mute the person.
I can't.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do it. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Later. Yes, please.
Let me try to mute.
Yeah, just go to the participant.
No, this is very unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah.
People should be training on that.
Yeah. You know, amazing lecture, amazing technology, and believe me, it is now approved by the FDA. We are proud about what's happening with the international teams, and of course with your work, Professor. And believe me, many companies are interested even to invest in these technologies. Yes, please. Yeah.
So let me show you how we did this case. So I'm just gonna go very fast, but you can see again how precise can we do the circumferential lesion, and they're surprising us what we are able to capable of doing that. So in those initial case, we didn't suture, but the next case, possibly the case we're gonna do in this Sunday, we will start doing the suture in humans, as you can see here. So this is the specimen and how we are retrieving them. I'm just gonna moving fast forward, and again you can see this is almost 50% of the conference, so it's a very aggressive, and you can see here the specimen. But also also I wanted to show you that we are not alone. So in Asia, Hong Kong, this is our friend Philip Chu, that they are doing a good job in Hong Kong, in Korea, and also in Singapore. So they have this operative robot. He just got a beautiful prize from their government with the development they are doing that. You can see here the progress. So that is an area that we are really going and moving forward. So I will stop sharing, and then I'm able to your questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor, for this informative lecture with practical one. And believe me, what we are seeing, and the FDA approvals of many companies like Italian, USA, Korean, Singaporean, and your work, we are going to see these in the market soon. I have some question for you, Professor Manuel, about the cost. What is about the cost of the robot that you showed us that you worked? The cost of this robot?
We don't have any idea. We know that maybe the cost of production going to be less of the robots that we have up to now. But as is initial study, we don't have an idea, but I think that the cost is going to be similar, or they're going to be used to be included on the other platform, so the platform can do laparoscopy, thoracic, brain, and flexible.
For us, the Robotic Surgery Academy started some partnership with some robotic companies in Italy and USA to build for us one robotic surgery system called Galaxy and one robotic endoscopy. So of course, what we are seeing with you is we will try to contact with the companies to to develop it more, and of course we want to introduce something that be ready for me and Professor Manuel to do the first endoscopic robotic endoscopy soon. I hope we will arrange that, because now the technology has emerged with artificial intelligence and the tele monitoring that we can control this endoscope from distance. Yes. So for the audience, any question? There are some audience 6 or 4. They were having some problematic issue in connection. So what we will do, we will put it on our YouTube channel, and they can see and enjoy the science, and they can see it. This is what we are doing. Yes, please. So if you have any question, you can write to us in the chat, or you can ask Professor direct. Yes. Yes, Professor. And what is your opinion about what's going on in the tele-monitoring and artificial intelligence, Professor Manoel?
By now, at least in the Lumina world, we are being the donkeys and the rats, and the artificial intelligence is being collecting over our movements. So everything we do is recording by the computer. So the movements are being collected to be perfected with artificial intelligence. So we already have 2 automated positions. That is the neutral position and the ready position that allowed us to do the triangulation. And this was purely done by our movements. And now the machine is able to center, and with a press of a button, it can go on that position. It's kind of difficult to achieve in the beginning. But the machine is already doing that, and they have been able to do that with artificial intelligence collecting by our movements on that. So I think that in the future, a lot of those movements have to be automated, specifically in diagnostic endoscopy. That not robot, but the regular colonoscopy. So companies like Pentax, Olympus, and Fuji. And Fuji is the most sophisticated, I think, in that moment. They can identify small polyps during the colonoscopy, polyps that you will miss, polyps that you will miss if you don't do that. So you just need to attach that to diagnostic robots. And I think they were working on that as well. And I heard rumors that Intuitive, Etcon, and Medtronic, they're working on their own flexible endoscope robot as well as stores. So I think that in the near future, that's a lot of things that we don't know.
And we are now mixing, as you saw, the virtual reality and the artificial intelligence and robotics. And mixing all these technologies together, and also even the verb with Google is making a new technology for that. So for Professor Manoel, thank you for your presentation. For the audience, thank you all. For those who couldn't attend, you will see it on YouTube. And believe me, wait for us for more work on this robotic endoscope. You can see the progress, the FDA approvals, and we will meet soon in other lectures. And thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor, for your time. For the audience, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And enjoy your day. From the Robotic Surgery Academy, have a nice day, and wait for us for other lectures. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.